Mike Sandoval.
Jeff Silver, how's it going?
Remax Gold, how things going over there?
We're doing well, yeah. It's a stable market. How about on the lending side?
The lending's, it's actually picked up a little bit this year.
Okay.
The rates have slid down just enough to get people off the fence, some of them anyway.
All right.
Affordability's a little rough right now, though.
Right.
That's the unfortunate thing. It's just hard to afford a house.
Across the board, Jeff. I mean, prices have gone up so fast, so quickly, and it's getting harder.
Yeah, I think that the market right now, as I kind of remember, I just saw the stats the other day that the median price or the average price in Placer County about $773.
Wow, we're in the sevens now.
Sevens now. It's ridiculously high.
That's crazy.
And I know it's nuts, and the affordability for that is, I think it's less than 20%.
I believe it.
Of the median or the average income can afford the average house.
I mean, you'd have to be a really good wage earner to be in the sevens, I can imagine.
You got to be a double wage earner. You got to be a husband, wife, or two people that double income.
Yeah, or some kind of supplemental income to add to that income.
Right. Yeah, the two income. But if you're going to use two incomes, though, you have to have both jobs for at least 2 years. Mike, did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah. Right. Little caveat on the loan side.
Now, what happens if a person was in college, graduated college, goes into their career or their field? Is that also the 2 years? They have to wait 2 years? Or?
No, they don't. They get to count the college as if they were working during that time.
Okay.
But if they threw a second job in there, they have to have had two jobs for 2 years or more.
Understood.
That's where that comes in.
Makes sense.
But, when we're talking about buyers, I'm just curious. Yeah. We're going into the holiday season right now. Would you say that now's a good time to buy, or would now be a time to maybe back off and wait to see what happens next year?
Really, right now, we're in the fall season. So we're markets in the fall, headed towards the winter. I tell my buyers, and I feel that this is an amazing time to buy. You don't have as much to choose from. However, if you find the right home, you could get an amazing deal because those sellers on the market are really motivated to sell. Typically you have a big influx in the summertime to choose from, but you have more competition as well. Also the weather is nice. You can move easier as well. But with that being said, the fall market, if you're looking or if a buyer's looking to buy, to me, that's the perfect time to buy. Me personally, if I was going to buy an investment property today, I would start looking now because it's a great time to negotiate a great deal.
Makes a lot of sense to me, but it seems to me that there might be fewer homes on the market because sellers might be a little reluctant to put their house on the market because they're going to have the Christmas tree, they're going to have family over for Thanksgiving, all those. Does that make sense?
You nailed it. That's absolutely correct. So we're, the sellers that are out there typically do not want to list in the late winter, like Thanksgiving time, Christmas time, because they don't want people walking through the house when they have family over or have the Christmas tree and all of that. So you're absolutely correct. So you don't have a lot of inventory to choose from. However, if you can find the right home at that time, you're going to negotiate a great deal because those sellers are going to be extremely motivated to sell, or else their house wouldn't be on the market.
All right. Well, that makes a lot of sense. There's, that just brought up another point I was just thinking about, and that is the number or the percentage of homes that are getting what they're asking. I think I saw that at for the greater Sacramento area, 17% of listings sell at or above their asking price, and the rest are below right now. Does that make so right?
Over 70% of listings are not getting their asking price. You're right, Jeff. Yeah. Because if 17 are getting it at or above, the majority, the bulk of it are not. So that's telling the sellers that the prices that they're trying to achieve is not in line with what the market is accepting at this moment in time.
And it takes longer.
Yes.
I mean, it's taken 55 days is what I saw. And they say days on market is not a seller's friend.
No. Oh, no.
It causes them to have to lower the price generally. But if you start with the price competitive, in other words, look at what the market is. If the market's $550, maybe price it at $535. It's a little bit below.
Right.
along with the fact clean your house up and things like that, right? Is staging important?
Staging is super important. Yeah, you want to have the house pristine as best as you can. Stage it if it's possible, if you could stage it as well. And pricing is amazingly important because even if you price it a hair under, Jeff, the market's going to dictate what the house will sell for. What a willing seller is willing to sell a house for, what a willing buyer is willing to buy a house for, that's true market value.
Right.
So even at 535 and you have 2 or 3 buyers competing for it, you'll end up at the market value, say at 550. Now, it doesn't always happen that way. It just depends on what the market speaks at that specific time in the market.
You mean so I can't just list the price of my house at what I want?
No. Unfortunately, no.
It seems like a lot of sellers do that. Yeah, but I need.
Right.
This is what I need.
And that's
I have to have. I've heard those comments before from people, and it's like, the sellers don't dictate the price.
No.
Buyers do, right?
In a buyer's market, the buyer dictates the price, and the market dictates what you'll end up getting for the home. Absolutely.
Right. It doesn't matter. I mean, if my house is worth $750 and I ask $1 million, I'm probably not going to get it, right?
Probably not going to get it, Jeff. No.
What a bummer.
I know, right?
Because if there's somebody out there who wants to pay me $1 million for my house, let's go. Let's put it together.
Make me move.
You can write that up,
hey,
right?
I'll sell mine for above market. I'll move out.
That's funny. I know. It just it is. It just sometimes things make me laugh, and when people say this is what I need to get and this is what I have to have, and I just shake my head.
It's whatever the market is, and the comps are what are historically homes have sold for in that specific geographic area, but it's not necessarily going to be what your house will sell for. It's just that's what it sold for in that specific time in the marketplace. Granted, interest rates, buyer demand, and all the other external factors.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And sometimes a comp is erroneous.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a reason that it sold for way lower than what everything else is selling for, or way higher.
Exactly.
Generally, you'll see way lower than higher. I would guess.
In today's market, you'll see more of that. Yes.
Right. Yeah. So in other words, if somebody got a job transfer and they had to move quickly, or there's a myriad of reasons that somebody would have to hurry up and sell.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so you kind of have to pick those out, right? So you look at the extremes on both sides and look at hence the median.
Absolutely.
Price.
You have the outliers is what I call it. So you have the really lows and the really highs. That one-off unique, seller spent $200,000 in the backyard, overbuilt it. Well, yeah, they got a premium. They didn't get their money back, but yes.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Well, hey, let's talk real estate.
All right, let's do it.
I'm curious from a buyer's point of view. What are some things that a buyer should be thinking about prior to looking for a home? In other words, are there questions that you ask?
Oh, yeah. There's definitely some qualifying questions I would ask a buyer specifically, Jeff. A great question. Mm-hmm. What are your needs? What are your needs today? And what are your long-term needs in the future? Because perhaps we could cater a home that can not only fit those needs today, but also long-term. Meaning, hey, I have an RV. I need to park my RV. Well, let's try to find a house with RV access. Or, hey, I have 3 kids. Well, we need a 4 or 5 bedroom home. I need to be close to a school because I want the kids to walk home. Something like that. Those are going to be very important qualifying questions. So that way we could kind of narrow down what they're looking for.
So a buyer should be thinking about what it is they need. And in this case, the buyer can be thinking about, hey, I need this, I need that.
Absolutely.
Because they do need to do that. And then maybe narrow it down because you're not always going to get everything.
That's right.
That you need. You just look at your most important things, right? So prioritize, say, okay, these 3 things I can't live without. These 3 things I really, really want. And these 3 things I can take or leave. Does that make sense?
100%.
Right.
I actually got a client currently. They want a single-story house, 3-car garage, built-in pool.
Yeah.
And it's funny because right now there's not a lot of inventory. I did a whole geographic search, maybe found 2. And within their price point at $800,000, and it's like So I told them, I go, well, if we remove the 3-car garage, now we have 12 to choose from. If we remove the pool, we have about 8 to choose from. 3-car garage, single story, no pool. So it's hard to find the perfect house.
Yeah, here's another thing that that I'm finding out is generational. There's more and more people that are moving their parents in with them or their grandparents in with them. So ADUs seem to be a big ticket item. Are you seeing that out there?
I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing buyers wanting bigger lots so they can build something for mom and dad. or I'm also seeing homes that are extra big, but have the ability floor plan wise to be able to kind of, create their own space. So
Right.
yeah, I'm seeing a lot of that right now.
Yeah, I was listening to the Placer County, Placer County Development Department.
Okay.
I did the exact names slips my mind right now, but he was talking to us and he was talking about the fact that they've really tried to streamline the approval process when going for a permit to build an ADU unit. Well, that would be an ADU.
Right, sure.
They're streamlining that because they need more units, more homes, because the state of California actually requires that they have a certain percentage of homes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, absolutely. And to get funding from the state of California, each individual area or town,
Right.
city,
Yes.
county, they have to comply or they don't get funds.
Really?
So they actually have to find ways to create more homes, more living units, if you will. That's why you'll see a lot of apartments going up in areas. And you see a lot of that in Placer County right now, Roseville.
Especially in Roseville. I see a ton of apartments going out right now, especially down the 65 corridor. I mean, it's all construction right there.
Yeah, how about build more roads on 65, like another couple lanes?
Oh, my gosh. Yes.
And the funny thing is that subject comes up all the time. Every time we have someone in talking from the city or the county, that's something that comes up, and they go, I knew it was going to come up, because somebody in the audience will go, what about 65? I know you guys want to talk about that.
We need it to be another I-80, another 4 lanes, because it's so congested.
And that's the way I look at it. If you're going to build one more lane, just put 2 more.
Right.
I mean, it's got to be less expensive to do that while you're doing it. Yes, I realize the materials are more and more hours, man hours or woman hours. More people hours. I don't want to offend anybody, but more cost or less cost. It would take more cost to bring all that equipment back out down the road, as opposed to just make it a 4 lane on both sides, because you're building like 8,500 more homes in West Roseville.
Yes.
Is the plan right now?
The master plan is going to be for a satellite Sacramento State. They're going to build, it's basically another huge planned community. And it's all going west, to Highway 70. So they need the infrastructure to be. And actually, switching gears with you, Jeff, say buyer wants to buy a new home out there. Pre-approval, pre-qualification letter. Give me your take on both, either or.
The difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qual? Right. Yeah, well, a pre-qual is basically talking to a person, taking a loan application, running their credit, having them give you pay stubs, bank statements, W-2s, their financials, and then taking a look at those and saying, okay, yes, you're going to qualify for this or for that.
Okay.
And then that's a pre-qual.
That's pre-qual, okay.
Right. Generally speaking, that would be plenty on say a state worker, W-2'd. They've been on the job for 22 years. They've given you their pay stubs and their W-2 or W-2s and pay stubs. Sure. That's going to be good enough.
Okay.
But somebody that's a little more on the borderline, they're hourly. Their hours fluctuate. They're working 32 hours this week, 48 hours that week, 20 that week. That person needs to go through the full pre-approval process. In other words, get all their information, submit it to an underwriter, have an underwriter then give their nod of approval, and then they would then be pre-approved.
Can they take it a step further to be even more approved, or is that the limit?
That's pretty much it, Mike.
Okay.
Once an underwriter says that yes, we'll do this loan under these circumstances, of course you've got a house.
Right.
Once you get a house, then that has to be approved as well by the underwriter. So you're going to get a preliminary title report, find out what are there any liens against the property? Okay. Is there anything that would deter a lender from lending on that property? Because the lender wants to make sure if this person doesn't pay back the loan, that they have the ability to sell it to somebody else. Are there more people that are willing to buy this, or is it just this one person?
Okay.
would buy this house. Nobody else on the planet would ever buy that house. They're not going to lend to you.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense. Awesome. Well, thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. It's always fun to get together with you.
I love it. Same here.
All right.